Okay, so this is the quiz. So if you remember about the chapter 4 here, you study everything by the selection. Right? So in the selection, you always have the condition to check, and in the condition here, you can check with the logical operator, or what is it? What is the other one? Logical operator, and I forgot it. I forgot the name here. Sorry for that. Let me see. What is this? Logical. Okay, sorry. So you basically, yeah, when working your selection, right? So you always have the condition here to check. And in the condition here, you can check with the relational operator or the logical operator. So with the relational operator, you can have the greater than, less than, equal than, greater than or equal, or equal or not equal here. Everything here is a relational operator, right? And the other one is the logical operator. So in the case of logical operator, it is everything about and, everything about or not, something like that. So the logical operator is a compound condition. That means you can combine some condition together and you use a logical operator here. And to do with this one, you have to remember about the priority of the hierarchy of the operator here, or the order of priority. So think about, if you remember about everything about arithmetic operator here, you have to do everything inside the parentheses first. The second one, you do the exponent. The third one, you do the multiplication, division, and modulus. And the last one is the addition and subtraction here. For the relational operator, they are equal. So we just do it from the left to the right. You see, they are equal. It's less than, greater than, or something like that. And the third one is the logical operator. Logical operator also you have to do in the priority here. So you have to do not first. After that, you do the and the or here. So if you look on the quiz here, you can see you have the truth table on, right? You have the truth table on. So, and if you look on this truth table here, this one is truth table here. This one is OR function. So for the OR function, its output is true when at least one of them is true, right? So it is output is 4 only when both of the input is 4. You see, it's 4 when both of the input here is 4. In any other case, it's always true. That is OR here. Or that means at least one is true. It's always true. The end is output is true only when both of the input here is true. You see, and every other case, it's always false here. And the NOT is totally opposite. So you have the X here true, the NOT is a 4, true, the 4 is true, and 4 is true here. Okay, so for this one, it's very simple, right? So we have the X is true and Y is a 4, the output here is a 4, right? X is true or Y true, the output here is true, right? And not X, that means you 4 here, and not Y, you have true here, you have 4 here, right? And not X is a 4 or Y is a 4, you have 4 here. So this one is the only one. You have this one, right? And you do the same with this one. You have number 1 is 1 and number 2 is 2 here. Remember, for this one, you have to do everything with not first. You have to do everything inside parentheses first. So it's number 1 equal to 1. This one is true, right? This is the first one. Now we move to the not. Not of the true is a 4 here. Right? So you know that whenever you have 4, you add something, you always have a 4 here. That is the way you working with this with the quiz. So remember, working with the quiz, you always have to remember about the priority of the order here. Remember, for the arithmetic, you do everything inside parentheses first, then exponents, then division, multiplication, and modular. And the last one is a subtraction and addition here. And for the logical, you have to do everything with the not first, and after that you do the and you do the or here. Okay, so I think for this one you don't have any much challenge with this one. Okay, so one thing about when you compare about the string, remember that when you compare the string, you always working from the left to the right, and you compare every single character together. Right? So if they are matched, you move to the right. Right? So whenever you have the two characters not the same, you just compare these two characters, and the higher one is winner here. And in the case that everything matching, the longer one is a winner. That's the rule when you compare the string together. And this one you just follow the rule of the priority here, the order of priority here. Okay. So what do you think? If you look on the question 5 here, his guy here works for 50 hours and he earned the 10 at the rate here. What do you think? If you have the coding here. Okay. So the first thing in this one is selection. You have to identify here this condition here true or false. If true, you do this one. If false, you do this one here. All right. So what do you think? The first thing here, you have to do everything inside the parentheses first, right? The rate here greater than or equal 10, correct or not?
Yes, correct.
Yes, that's one correct, right? So you see that once it's correct and you have all here, you always have the output is correct. You even don't have to check this one anymore. Right? So you just have the total pay is hour. What is hour? 50. And what's the rate? 10 here. 50 times 10, you have a 500 here. Okay. How about this one? You enter the number, program display square root, input the number. So if he enters, if the end user input the 49 here, and you write the square root of number. What is the number? 49, right?
49.
Yeah, and is this one is a function to get out the square root here. So you have the square root of 47 is 49 is a 7 here, and remember that you have the dot here. So this one is correct here, right? Response is 3. What display is okay. So this one it is a multiple selection here, right? Sorry, multiple and multiple condition here. So you have if the response is 3, this one is not correct, right? This one not correct. This one is correct. So it write down the door of the system sheet is open. Thing like that. Right? Okay, if my name is Bunny and your name is Buddy, which one is correct? You pair them together, every single character from the left to the right, be matching, U matching. But so and here and the D here, which one greater than? What do you think?
And is greater than D.
And come later. That's why you have my name greater than your name here. And which one is false? That means my name less than your name, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Given the following program, choose a line condition. Okay, right program, put in a number. Okay, so what do you think? What should be the condition here? What should be the condition here to check? What do you think? That is a defensive technique here. Right? That is a defensive technique here. You know that when working with square root or working with division, something like that. When working with square root here, the number here always must be greater than or equal 0. You cannot take the square root of the number less than 0, right? So what do you think? What should be the condition here? What should you put here?
If my number less than 0?
No. So if you put my number less than 0 here, that means the condition, you check it, right? So if my number is less than 0, this is true here. You cannot take the square root here. Right? So actually this one you have to check if my number greater than or equal to 0 here. You have to put this one. So if the condition is true, you do with everything with square root here. If not, it is illegal operation here. right?
Okay, right.
Because the output of the condition here is supposed to be true. So when it's true, you do this one. When it's not true, you do this one. Right? So it's you only able to get square root of number when only when the number greater than 0 here or equal 0 here. So that one is the correct one here. Okay, this one is very simple, right? So you have to do with the follow of the order of the priority here. This one is simple. If a division operator is performed, E divisor is 0 here, right? You cannot divide by 0. One type of illegal operation is attempt to take square root of a negative number, right? You cannot take the negative number. And is used to summarize action of logical operator. The compound condition, right? The compound condition. You can use and or not to combine multiple condition here. This one is very simple here. What do you think? The modular here, what is it? It is arithmetic, relational, or logical?
Arithmetic?
Yes, arithmetic, right? Okay. So this one. Okay, it's not much with this one. So now move to the second one here. Oh, sorry, quiz again. Sorry. Just point. Right? Okay, so for the checkpoint here, you have to write program that get the two value from the user, then display in the descending order here. That means you have to print out the higher number first. And if the same number it received from the user, display the same number when received. So for this one, you have to do with the condition, right? So you have the two input here, the number one, number two. After that, you have to check, you have to break down into conditions. The first one, you have to check if they are the same, if they are equal, right? So if they are equal, you print out the same number is received. If they are not equal, you have to sort it and you have to print out the higher number first and the lower number later. Yeah. Do you need my my help to work in this one? Let me know. You need it, or you are okay? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you need my help here. So for this one, you just remember that you need two input here, right? You need the two input. You have you have the input number one, and you have input number one, two here. Okay, and you store it in the variable name is number one, and you just copy it here and do the second one. The second number. Okay, so once you already have the two number here, right? So you have to check which condition here. What happens if the two number they are the same? If the two numbers are the same, you have to print out. You have to print out the same number. The same number will receive here, right? So you have to put in the condition here. What is the condition here? What do you think? What is the condition?
Number one, and then double, like equal sign.
Yes.
Number two.
Good. Remember one thing about this one, right? So when you want to compare them together, if you want to compare is equal or not, you have to use a double equal sign here. If the single equal sign, it is assignment, right? Basically, the Raptor they accept a single equal sign, but when working the real programming, normally you have to enter the double equal sign here. So try to work with the double equal sign to make it more familiar when working the real program here. So in the case number one equal to number two, use that make the output here, right? You just print out the output here, and you have the same number will receive here. Okay, so now this one is correct, right? So this condition here, if number one equal to number two, it's correct, print out the same. So if they are not equal, what happened? You have two conditions, right? The first one is the number one greater than number two, or the second one is the number one less than number two here. So you can break it down here. The first one, you have to check it again. You have to check it again here. You have number one greater than number two. Okay, and you remember that you have to sort it in a descending order here. That means you have to print out the bigger order first. So the higher order, the bigger number first, and the smaller number later here. So you print out here. In that case, you have to print out the number one first because it's a greater than, right? So you have you can put the two number in ascending descending order. Alright, so we print now the number one first. Try to make it more sense with using the space here. Okay, so we see in the case number one greater than number two, you print out the number one first and the number two. And it's not, what do you think? In the case not here, what happened? It already checked the number one equal to number two, number one greater than number two. Now in the case no, that means the number one less than number two, right? So we just copy it here and paste it here, and you change it here. Now we have to print out the number two first and the number one here. Okay, that's all. Now check it. You enter the first number, you have the 10 here. Second number, you have the 10 also. You have the same number will receive, right? Now we check it. The number one is 20. Number of two is 10. You sort it in the descending order. You have the 20 and 10 here. Okay, that is the way working with the checkpoint here. Very simple. Any question for us?
I'm good.
Okay, so now you go with the homework assignment here. That's the question here, right? Oh, sorry, that's the module. Right? That's this one. Assignment, this one here. Okay, so this one is truth table, right? If you remember about truth table here, use it right down here. You have the or, you have and not here. So so for this one, you can copy it into the Word file. You can copy it to the Word file, and you do it.
You have to press the create button, like right below blank document.
Sorry. Thank you. Here. So that's you have just follow the truth table here. If you have that in for the truth table, right? The output here, the output is 4 when the output is 4 when both of the input 4, right? So yeah. Both input 4. And in any other case, it's always true here. So we have a true and true, you have a true, you have true and 4, you have true, you have 4 and true, you have true here. Right? So this one is not A or B here. So we think about here. This one you have true here, you have true here, and you have 4 here. All right. The second one, you have a true here. You have 4. 2. Okay, so every time you have a 2 here. Okay, this one is A or B, right? So we have 2, you have 2, you have 2 or 4. This one is not A or B, so you just opposite for this one. 2 here, you have 4 here. 2 here, you have 4 here. 2 here, you have 4 here, and 4 here, you have 2 here. Right? That's all. And for the ending logic, you know that for the ending logic, the output is true when only both of the input is true. So we think about the 1 is true, 1 is true, and 0 is a 4. So we have 1 and 1, you have 1 here, right? And 0 and 1, you have 0 here, and keep going on to do that. And this one is a set, right? This one is a set here. What is it? Why I'm not able to look at, but if you look on this one, you have the set here, right? You have universal is everything. You know that universal set is everything. So we have everything in A and B and outside A, B here. So actually you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I, Y, Z here. That is universal. And for the A, you have everything inside A here. You have A, B, C, D, E, right? And for the B, you have everything inside the B. You have A, C, E, G, F, and I here. Now we have this one union. Union, that means everything inside A or inside B. So we have you have everything here. So we can have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, F, I, and this one intersection. The intersection that means in A and in B here. That is the overlap here. You have the A, C, E here. That's all. This one A is not subset of B or not. Right? So A is a subset of B when every element of A inside the element of B. But this one, you see, B and D is not inside the B. So the A is not the subset of B. So this one is correct. Right? And this one is complement of A. That means everything is not in A. Right? Everything is not in A here. So you can see that everything complement of A, you have the G, F, and I here. It's not in the A here, right? Okay, this one is how many elements in the A? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. That's all. It makes sense?
Yeah.
That is a set theory. So you're working the Venn diagram here. Now, for the raptor, do you have any question for the raptor here?
No, I'm good. Good.
For the raptor, you are good, right? So let's see.
Yes.
You have the okay. So this one, you have designed raptor program to display the possible result for the truth table. You know, the truth table with the 2 input of the OR gate here. So if you look on the OR gate here, actually you have the 2 input here, right? You have 2 input here, and you have the output here. Right? So for the OR, the output is when only both input is true. Sorry, the output is a 4 when only both of the input is 4. In every other case, they only 2 here. Right? So for this program, this raptor here, you need to enter the 2 input here. The 2 input here, you have to make sure they are 2 or 4 here. You have to tell user that please enter the first input in the 2 or 4 only. Think about this one here. Okay, so enter the first input. Something like that. Something like that, right? So we have input number 1. Okay, you do the same. You do the same with the second input. Okay, so now you already have the 2 inputs, input number 1 and input number 2, and it depends on the user. He can enter the F or T here, right? T for true and the F for the false. And remember here, when working the input here, when working the prompt here, only try to make it more sense to the end user, right? So you only have to tell him what he expected to enter here, right? So you have to clearly tell him that please enter T for true and enter F for false here. That is make more sense for the end user here. You think about if you are the end user and you run the program, you expect that you have the very clear instruction to tell you what you have to do here. Okay. So now you already have the two input here, and if you look on the truth table here, you just check the condition here. Right? So if both of them is a false, you have the output is false. In any other case, you only have the true here. So it's very simple for this one. You need to check the selection here. Right? The selection here. Right? So you have the input one equal to F. Remember, when you compare about the string or character here, you have to put it inside the double quote mark here. Right? And input here.
I thought we was doing an or statement.
Okay, let me tell you later. Okay, so here if you look on the truth table here, right? You see here, the output is 4 when both of them is a 4 here. That's why I use adding here.
Oh, okay.
Right? You got my point? Yes, you got my point. So if both of the inputs are 4, I have the 4. And in any other case, I only have the true here. That's why I don't have to check it anymore. So for this one, in the both of them is a 4 here. It's a okay. So in any other case, I always have the true here. You got my point?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Okay.
Or you can change it here also. It's the same. So if you have input, it's a T here, or here. You can have or here, input to T here, right? So we see that the output of or is only true when at least one of them is true. So if you have input number 1 is true or input number 2 is true, you only have the output is true. Sorry, you only have the output is true here, and in other case you have the 4 here. So actually it works the same. So it depends on you. It depends on you if you want to put what condition it is here. Right? You got it?
Yeah.
Totally the same. Yeah, it's totally the same here. Now, what else? The challenge 2. You have the challenge 2 here. So the challenge 2, not this one, right? Okay, not this one. So it's here. This one here. Why so slow? Okay. So the number 2 here, you have to develop a menu-driven program. That's input the 2 number and the user option by the sum, product, and the quotient here. So what is this? Is this correct, right? The number 2, right? Yes. Okay, so if you remember about the menu driven here. Okay, the menu driven, that means you always give the user the option to choose, right? You always give the user option to choose. So for this one, the user will have the some option here. Say you have the option to he have option to calculate the sum. He have the option to calculate the difference. He have option to calculate the product, and he have option to calculate the quotient here. Right? So for this one, what do you think? What are the input? What are the outputs and what are the input here for this one?
The outputs are sum, difference, product, and quotient or
Yes,
quotient.
right. And what's the other input here?
Two numbers and their option, whether they want sum, difference, or product.
So, okay, so for this one, if you look on this one, you have the you have the three input here. You have two number and you have the other user input his option here, right? So think about it. Now you can have, let me delete it here. So you have two inputs, that's why input number one, right? And the first number one here. The second number two here, you start in number two, right? So now you already have the two number. The next one, you have to develop the menu driven program, and you have to ask the user which option he want to do. He has the four option here. You want to figure out what is a sum, what is a difference, what is a multiplication, and what's a product, and what is quotient here, right? So in that one, you have to enter. You have one more input here. You have to enter. You have to tell the user here, please enter your choice. In that here, remember one thing you have to think about if you are the end user, and you need a prompt very specific and very clearly to tell you what you have to do here. So you only have to very clearly tell what user have to do here, right? So we have to enter S for some, something like that, right? For some, D for difference, P for product, and Q for quotient here, right? Okay, so we see if you only have to very specific on the prompt here to tell the user have to do, and you can put here choice, right? His choice. Now the next thing is that you have to check his selection here, right? So if it's S, you have to do everything with the addition here. If it's a D, you have to do everything with the difference here. And if it's a P, you have to do everything with the product. And it's Q, you have to do everything with the quotient here, right? So now that is the time you working with selection here. You have to check. You have to compare here. The first one, you have to compare if choice equal to S or not, right? Remember, if you want to compare with the character or the string, you have to put it in the double quote mark here. So what happened if the choice here is S? What you have to do? You have to do everything with the sum here, right? So you have to put here the sum of two numbers. What do you think? What do you have here? One plus number two, right?
Number one plus number two.
Or you can, if you want, you can make one more. You can have one more variable here. You have
I was about to say, you need like an assignment there.
Yeah, assignment here. So we have number one. It's up to you. It's up to you. So now you have the sum of two numbers. That's all, right? Sorry, you have to put it in here. Okay, so now the first thing you check is the choice is at. The second one, you check it as the choice here is D, right? So you have one more selection here. You can copy it here. Now we can write. Okay, so in case of the D, you just use that to figure out what is the difference, and you print out the difference here, right? So it's not S, it's not D, it can be the P here, right? So we have one more selection here. Choice equal to P here, right? So user figure out what's the product and print out the product. And in the case of the, what is it? It's case choice here equal to what? To
Q.
Q here. What do you have to do? What do you have to do? In choice of Q here, what do you have to do?
Quotient. Like,
Okay, so now if you look on this one, you always have to try when appropriate. You have to use the defensive program technique here. Now, if you look on the program, what happens if the number 2 is equal to 0? You cannot divide by 0, right? You remember that you cannot divide the number by 0 here. Now let me run it here. Let me run it here. I have number 1 and 10, and I put the number 1 0 here. So it comes with this one, right? Now I put the Q here. I want to use the quotient here. See? Oh, sorry. Oh, I entered the wrong one here. Then I will run it again. I have the 10 here. I have 0 here. I have Q here. Yeah, you see, you got the syntax error here. You got the crash for the program, and you cannot divide by 0. So that is the time you have to use the defensive technique here. Right? You have to use the defensive technique here. So in the defensive technique for the quotient here, you have to make sure you check that the denominator here cannot be 0. Right? So what do you have to do for this one? What do you have to do for this program here?
Well, if number,
you have to one more selection here, right? Yeah. One more selection here. You have to check it first. Number 2 equal to 0 or not. If yes, you cannot divide it, right? So if yes, you have to print out here. You cannot divide by 0. Right? Like that. If not, you just do it normally, right? And in that case, if the choice is not S, not D, not P, not Q, you have to tell him that you enter the wrong choice, right? Something like that, right? Enter wrong choice. Okay, it makes sense. So in every program here, try to think about the defensive technique here, and you always have to anticipate about what should be the problem that's got problem that's got program crash here. So you always have to anticipate it and to do with the defensive technique here. So in the case if you're working with the square root, you also have to check if the number greater than or equal to 0 or not. Right? And for this program here, I need you to remember 2 things. The first one here, you always have to specify about the requirement here, and you always have to tell the user what he expected, what is he expected to do to enter here, right? You have to clearly tell him what should he enter here. S for the sum, D for difference, P for product, and the Q for quotient here. And the second one here, try to anticipate what should be the error for program here, and you try to use a defensive technique as much as possible here. Any question for this one? Any question?
I'm good.
Okay. So what is the next one? To here and the file. What is the file here? Okay. So the compute the incoming type. The taxable income entered by the user, given the data shown in the following table, be sure to include error checking here. Error checking, that means you have defensive technique here, right? Because it's not make sense if you enter the text is a negative number, right? So whenever you asking the end user that and please enter the taxable income, you have to check if the income here greater than or greater than 0 or not, right? So it's not greater than 0 or equal 0, you have to tell that you cannot enter the negative number here, right? So for this one, you also have to break it down in the selection here. So once you already have entered the input here, the first thing you have to check if it's generated from here. If it's generated here, do this one, right? The second one, you check if it's generated here, do this one. And the third one, you do the generated here, do this one here. Do you need my help for this one?
Could you do it in Raptor, please?
Okay. You want me to do it or not?
Yes.
Okay. So for this one, what do you think? What are the input and what are the output here? What are the output and what is the input here?
The input is income tax, right?
Yes, income tax. No, the input is taxable income, right? The input
right.
here, the taxable income here, and the output is income tax. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. So once you already identify what is output and input here, you just do it normally, right? So for this one, you need to do the tax. You need to add to ask user to enter the taxable income here, right? So for this one, you can ask here, input here, and remember that for every Raptor program, please include the both of the header comment here, right? So the
Taxable income.
Okay. Taxable income. So we can put here tax income, something like that. It's up to you. It's tax income. Now, that is the thing you have to work in error checking here, right? You have to working with the error checking here to make sure that the tax income here cannot be a negative, right? So you have to do the first thing you have to check here, the selection here. Right? Edit tax income less than 0. It's up to you if you can put it less than 0 or sorry, I have to put it like it. So you just tell him that you cannot negative number. Bye. Right. Okay, so now you will already make sure that the tax income here greater than or equal 0. So you break it down in the three selection here. Right? The first one you check, the second one you check this one, and third one you check this one here. Right? So now the first one under the selection here, you have the tax income less than or equal to what? Less than 49.9 here. Right? So I think I don't need this one. Actually, for me, I think this one better. So you cannot find 50,000 here, but you can any in the range from 0 to the 50,000 here. And for this one, if it's this one, if that do the income tax here is the income tax is 5% of the amount over here, right? So you have coming tax. You have this one is a assignment here. This one is a income tax, not tax income. So income tax will be 5%. That means you have the 5 divided by 100 times tax income here. Right? So, and now if you have in the range from the 50,000 to the 100,000 here, right? If 100,000 here, so I have another here, a selection here. Okay, right? So we see if less than 0, go to this one. If everything from 0 to less than 50,000, go to this one, right? So if everything from the 50,000 here and less than 100,000, go with this one, right? Remember, for if you have multiple selection, it only have only one option to go with your, right? Whatever it is, you even that you have the 10 option or 20 option, is the program only execute for one option only, right? So think about this one. If you have this one, you have this guy here, 2,500 plus 7%, right? So you have to do this one. I copy this one here. This income tax here now 2,500 plus 7%, 7 by divide by 100 what tax income divide by minus for 50,000 here. Right? Is that correct? And now the last one. The last one is everything. That's the only option that when you have a greater than or equal to 100 here. So you have the 6,000 and 5% and 9% here. Right? So we have copy this one, put it here. Now we have the 6,000. And now this 9% of everything greater than 100,000 here. Okay, that is everything you figured out the income here. Now user pre now, what is your income tax? That's all. Any question?
I'm good.
Okay. So this all, that's all for this week. So okay, so one more thing about what you have for the progress report here. But remember that I strongly recommend you that you have to do it on the weekly basis here. So what you have for the second week here? Okay, depositing into two. Oh, okay. So for this one, you have the two account, right? So the last week only have one account. Now we have two account. So basically, okay. So you also have to authenticating here, right? So you have to actually for this one you have to add you have to ask the user here. Please enter the username. Please enter the password, and you have to make sure that you check the password here. Sorry, username here is brown, and the password here blue 123. Yeah, right. So when his username and password matching, that means you already have the saving account 2,500 here and checking account 10 here, right? So next step that you ask him that which account you want to do, right? So enter F for saving, enter C for checking, something like that, right? So based on that, if he adds with the it enters adds with the saving here, you ask him how much money you want to deposit, right? Or you can ask him that how much money you want to deposit first, and after that you ask him that if you want to working with saving account or the checking account here. So depend on his option, depend on his choice. If he working with saving, user add the deposit to the saving. If he want to work in checking, you add the deposit which is checking here, and after that user pre now update. Right? So what is your saving account now, and what is the checking account now here? You got it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I think this one is simple. So this one, remember that you have to authenticate the username and password. Right? So when you when he enters the correct username and password, now ask him that how much money you want to deposit. And remember, try to use the defensive technique as much as possible here. So when he enters the deposit, you have to make sure you check that the number here is greater than or equal greater than 0 here. You cannot you cannot deposit the number negative number or 0 number here, right? That is when the program expects you to working in the defensive technique here. So when he enters the deposit, the next one it is a menu driven here. You can think about a menu driven here, and you ask him what is your account you want to working with. So enter S for the shipping, enter C for the checking. Right? So if you enter the S, you just add the deposit to the checking here, and if you enter the C, you add the deposit to checking here, and after that you just print out, update what is your current saving and what is the current checking here. Okay, any other question for homework? Let me know.
I'm good.
So this week actually is very simple. So come to work with your homework, and if you need my help, just let me know. You can send me the email, or you can send me email. I enjoy the Zoom meeting to support you until 1 p.m. here. Okay, so if you don't have any question, I can end the class now. And remember, if you need my help, just send me the email. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.